What's going on, fam? I hope everybody enjoyed their 3-day weekend. I hope you didn't get sidetracked, and I hope you're ready to put in some more work. Today's question of the day is, how do you determine what exercises to perform when in the gym or at home or whatever you're doing? Do you have a trainer? Do you figure it out on your own? Do you do research? Do you just pick them? Anything. How do you choose exercises? If you're on YouTube, drop a comment below. What's going on, fam? Welcome to the Plants and PRs podcast. The podcast to help you move better, feel better, and in the long run, look a hell of a lot better. My name is Tyler Egan. I'm a certified personal trainer, and today we're going to be talking all about programming. All about it. Not all about it. Mostly about it. 95% about programming. The other 5% will most likely be me rambling on about something that is completely irrelevant, like this. I'm actually in a really good mood today. I went to Attili's gym over in Belmar the last 2 days. I've talked about that place a few times on the podcast. It's a gym, small gym, owned by just two guys. It's not a chain or anything like that. In South New Jersey. They have been opening their gym in defiance against the governor's mandates or whatever you want to call them, because they're not laws. I really have no idea what to call them. I have no idea. But anyway, they have been going against what the governor's been saying since the end of May, and they most recently actually got their business license revoked. They've done some other things to keep the gym open, which has been pretty creative on their part, but it's kind of sad. So I just like to go over there, support them in whichever way I can. And I got a really good shoulder workout in today. I really love that gym, man. The atmosphere, the community of people there. You just get the right vibes when you walk into that place. It's not a place of judgment. You have people from all walks of life. Excuse me. There's bodybuilders, powerlifters, strongmen that train there, and then you have your average Joe Schmo. When I went in there this morning, there was all types of people, and there's some guys who seemed like powerlifters, some guys who seemed like bodybuilders, and then I saw some like older gentlemen and women who were just in there to be healthier, to get better. I really, really enjoyed it, man. I really enjoyed that place. I love what those gym owners are doing, and go show them some support. 100%. Go show them some support. They're on Instagram and Twitter, Attili's Gym Belmar. Every little bit counts, especially in these trying times. So today I want to talk about programming and how I approach it, how I design a program. Now, of course, this depends. Everything, there's no one way to do these things. There's no set way. Everybody kind of finds what works best for them. And, it really starts with determining your goals. I feel like I talk about that a lot. I feel like that's always the thing. You have to know what your goals are. You have to know what you're training for, what you want to look like, or how you want to feel or move, or whatever your goals are. Start there. Always start there. Before you even go to the gym, know what your goals are. Know what you're working towards. So start there. No one's going to be able to help you program. You're not going to... look, you can throw some exercises together and call it a workout routine, but if you have no purpose, if you have no goals, if you're not working towards anything, how are you expecting yourself to get better? If you're all over the place, you have no organization, you don't have any intention when you're going into the gym, it's definitely a place you need to go into with intention. You have to know why you're doing what you're doing. So, determine your fucking goals. It's the starting point for everything. Figure it out. Next, my approach is I have a video on YouTube. It's private because it's a little bit different. Where I send people the assessment I would like them to do, which is usually a bunch of general movements that I can determine potential muscle imbalances in your body, whether you have a short and weak muscle or an elongated and weak muscle. So I can see how your body's moving in pretty normal movements, like a squat, like a hip hinge, like an overhead press. Well, having your arms above head without compensating in any way. So my assessments dictate that. I want to see how you're moving. I want to see muscle imbalances. I want to see compensations that your body has. And from there, once I have that and your goals, I can then determine or begin to determine which exercises we're going to be doing. But I have a step in between there. I look at these tight muscles and the restricted joints you may have, the compensations you may have, and I design a mobility program to help combat those. You see, sitting down all day, for example, our shoulders tend to round forward. What this does is it puts your shoulders, the posterior part, the backside of your shoulders on a stretch the entire time. And it turns all these muscles off. Then you have your chest and your lats pulling your shoulders down, pulling them into this internally rotated position, this really compromised position for your shoulders. And there's all of these things happening. On top of that, from sitting down, your glutes get turned off. Your butt tends to poke back. Posterior pelvic tilt is the proper term for it. And a lot of things happen. You don't have proper spinal mechanics. You don't have stability at your joints just because they have an imbalance at the muscles. When muscles get shortened and they pull harder, or at least the muscle itself being shortened, it tends to be, it's not overactive, but it's taking the brunt of it, if that makes sense. So when your shoulders are internally rotated, your chest is pulling it in, it's not like it's sitting there active in the sense that it would be with a bench press, but rather it's just pulling the joint in and putting it in a very vulnerable position and really shortening that chest muscle that you don't want shortened. It causes a lot of issues. It causes a lot of imbalances in your body. So once I know what these are, where your muscle imbalances lie, where your mobility restrictions may be, where your compensations are, I design design a mobility program to help combat those. Mobility, flexibility. When I say mobility, I incorporate some minor strengthening exercises like a bird dog is a good core stabilization exercise. I would throw something like that in there. But it's also, foam rolling, banded mobilization, whether it be like the hips, the ankles. Those are my two favorites for banded mobilization. You can do stuff at your shoulder and stuff like that, but it just makes me feel a little uneasy. Some just regular stretching, some flexibility. Taking your body through fluid motions. It can almost be like yoga, but not really. So it incorporates all of those things. I just say mobility because I want to condense it down to one word. It sounds fancy, and I like to have my pinky out. So I start with designing the mobility routine. Once we have that out of the way, I start looking at ways we can strengthen up those weak muscles. Again, for example, from sitting down a lot throughout the day, your glute muscles get turned off. So one thing I would add to an everyday program would probably be some glute bridges prior to exercise to get those glutes firing, because you need a solid foundation at your legs, your glutes, your hips, to be able to transfer energy properly through the upper part of your body, through your upper extremities, your lats, your chest, your shoulders. So you really need a solid foundation underneath you. You need proper ankle mobility. You need proper knee tracking, your knees tracking over your feet rather than your knees caving in, or knee valgus. So we'll start working on strengthening those up. So we'll start doing things like glute bridges. If you have a knee valgus where your knee caves in when you squat, we'll start working on things like, trying to think of something, because those are your abductors, your abductors that are weak. Your hip stabilizers, the glute medius. That's what I'm looking for. The glute medius tends to be weak when that happens. Your arch collapses in your foot, your knees cave in, and your glute medius can't hold your hip out to sustain all of that. So we'll work on things like that. So single leg movements are great. Bulgarian split squats, lunges, lateral lunges, because your glute medius is also responsible for side to side movement. So we would work on things like that. We find those weak muscles, we start strengthening those up more. And of course, that's why your goals are important, because when I design a program, I don't do it just on working on changing these muscle imbalances or fixing your postural imbalances. I like to do that, of course, because you need to move well, but I also want to do things that help with your goals. So if your goal is to put on more muscle, we'll do a lot of these exercises that work on correcting the muscle imbalances, but we'll also, add extra volume or add a different iteration of it. Maybe a drop set, something to that effect. I love doing drop set Bulgarian split squats because they just torch your fucking leg, your entire leg. Bulgarian split squats are great because it works on that glute medius, it works on that hip stabilizer to help with our glutes being turned off from sitting frequently throughout the day. You're also getting a lot of quad activation, just glutes overall, not just your glute medius, your entire glute muscle. Split squats are great, Bulgarian split squats especially, but they're just fantastic because you can get a lot of hypertrophy out of it, a lot of muscle size, but you can also work on a lot of stability and muscle imbalances. You can work on those things. So it's a really, really, really awesome exercise. So we'll work on strengthening those weak muscles and correct muscle imbalances depending on you, because everybody's different and where you're at. Some people, like, if I were to design a program for myself right this second, my mobility, my stability, things like that, they're in such a better place than they used to be that I probably wouldn't add as many corrective exercises. And I probably wouldn't add as many exercises that would work on muscle imbalances. I would probably focus more on my goals. And that's just for me where I stand today. If I was doing a program for myself where I stood about a year ago, my shoulders were all sorts of out of whack, my hips were jacked up. My program, my approach to that would be 10 times different. I would be doing a lot more mobility exercises. I would be working on fundamental movements more. For example, if the squat is, and any variation for that matter, is one of the most fundamental exercises. It's one of the best muscle building exercises. And it's an exercise that everybody should have in their program one way or the other. The problem is not everybody has the full range of motion to hit an ass to grass squat. And there's a progression to that. You can start with a box squat. Once you feel comfortable there, you can start getting rid of the box and just hitting parallel. Excuse me. Hold on. We'll be back to that. This is a message from our sponsors, which is me drinking coffee. Anyway, so once you feel comfortable with a box squat, you have proper core engagement, you can hit a box squat without letting your pelvis dump or anything like that. Then you can go up without a box and just do maybe goblet squats. No box, just goblet squats, one dumbbell, right? From there, you can take the exercise and make it a little bit more challenging. Get rid of the goblet squat, go to maybe like a front rack squat and hit parallel. And then work on your ankle mobility a little bit more and then hit ass to grass. And then maybe throw a back squat in there. Maybe try increasing the load. There's a regression, an easier exercise, and there's a progression for just about every exercise out there. Bench press is a really good one too. You don't have to start with the bench. If you lack mobility in your shoulders, you can start with a floor press. It gives you a lot more of a stable surface to do the bench, and you don't have to worry about having the same range of motion and tearing something or hurting yourself. It could be a good place to start. You can also just start with a push-up. You can start with a modified push-up. Again, regressions and progressions. It's good to work through those, and everybody's different. So understanding that is important. That's why programming is very individualized. It's not something where I can write a program for myself and just give it to you. Now, of course, you can make general programs, throw an exercise in there, and someone can modify it according to their body. But programming is highly individual, at least the way I approach it, just because it's more than just finding exercises that are going to put on all this muscle. Again, everybody has different goals, and regardless of your goals, and again, this is just my personal belief because I don't know if the rest of the fitness industry would agree, you need to focus on moving well first. You need to focus on making sure your body is functioning optimally. You have proper core engagement. You have good range of motion at your shoulders, your hips, your knees. Your knees are tracking right over your feet. These things matter, and the problem is a lot of people neglect them. So I like to start there. Nip it in the butt, get all of that out of the way while focusing on goals, and then once your mobility's in a good place, all we'll do is focus on, well, not all of it. Of course, I still like to throw corrective exercises in there because they're important. Again, moving well, functioning properly, it goes a long way in the gym. A long way in the gym. So, it's all about applying exercise that will help you achieve your goals, but also help you move better. That's the way I approach it. And of course, it's going to be different for everybody. Like I said, when I approach it with a first-time client, we go on more of like a month-to-month, maybe 4 to 6 week basis, where I give them exercises that I think will work well for them. But again, I don't know for sure. A lot of them are online. I don't know if it actually is working well for your body and the way you move. We might have to address it. So I like to go on like a month-to-month or 4 to 6 week basis and see where clients are at, see where people are at, see if this particular exercise is working right. Again, there's all these different iterations of squatting. You don't have to do a typical back squat. If it's easier for you to start with a goblet squat or a box squat, an air squat, box squat, an air box squat, an air box squat? I'm going to call it an air box squat. Maybe that's the best approach for you. Again, there's some fundamental principles like, everyone should probably do some kind of squat. Everybody should be probably doing some kind of deadlift. Everybody should be doing some kind of pressing motion, some kind of row. But which row, which press, which squat, which hinging movement, deadlift, should you be doing? That's where the big question lies. What are your goals? That matters. It matters to know how to program properly. If you want to get as strong as possible, we're not going to waste time on chest flies. We're not going to waste time on cable flies or reverse dumbbell flies. We're going to be focused on overhead press. We're going to be focusing on bench press. We're going to be focusing on the movements, the exercises that will allow you to achieve the strongest possible version of yourself. That's why exercise selection matters. That's why understanding your goals matter. And I'm going to come back to this point just because it's my biggest point. It's just my biggest point when it comes to programming. Your proper movement matters. I think everybody should be starting there, regardless of who you're training, why you're training, whatever. I don't care if it's a Olympic level something weightlifter. That's the word I was looking for. Most of them probably should start there too. Again, I'm a guy who's been at this for 3.5, 4 years versus someone who's been doing it their entire life. So, take what you want. But proper movement matters. Understanding your goals matter. There's different regressions and progressions to each exercise. Do what works best for your body. Again, there's those basic movements that we should all be doing. Hinging, squatting, pressing, and rowing. But which variations of those exercises are best suited for your body, your goals, and where your mobility is at? Those are the biggest things I ask myself. So I hope you guys took something from this today. I hope this may have helped somebody. If you want a little bit more detail, let me know. If you have any questions about this and how I can help aid you in building your own program, let me know. If you're looking to start a program and looking for a trainer, hit me up. I'm still looking for clients. I don't think I'm at my capacity yet. I'm just kind of playing that by ear. So if you're looking for a trainer, looking for someone, maybe just looking for a program, I can just program. Let me know. Reach out. And we'll get started. So if you guys took anything from this, please leave a rate and review on iTunes. Share the video. If you're on YouTube, leave a comment for the question of the day. And I will check you guys out in the next episode. Peace. Thank you for watching the entire video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, and stay tuned for more because I'm going to start uploading more podcast episodes here. And yeah,